Hi, I'm Mike and welcome to my YouTube channel, NC Woodworker. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I put scales on this knife and cake serving set. I'll also tell you what kind of wood I chose and why I chose it. And I think you'll find it pretty interesting, so stay tuned. Okay, I know you guys are dying to find out what wood I decided to use for the scales on the knife and the server. I decided to go with Koa. Not only because I have an abundance of the Koa, but I just love this wood. It has a great texture, grain texture to it. The color is beautiful. The density is good, and I think it'll just add it'll be so beautiful to the handles of the server kit. You may wonder how I acquired all this Koa wood. I took a vacation to Hawaii several years ago, and our tour guide just happened to be a woodworker too, and he just raved about the legendary status of this Koa wood. And he actually even called it the Polynesian mahogany, and you can see why. It has the same, looks just like mahogany. And so I asked him to send me a box, and he sent me a big box of this wood here. And let me show you what I mean by the color of this wood when you polish it and add the oil to it. You can just see the red and the brown just come out in this wood here. It just shines. It's beautiful wood. So I think it's going to be really great on these this server kit. So once I picked the wood, and I had to add all this pile here, I had to pick the two pieces of wood that had similar color and texture. And so I picked these two pieces of wood, and you'll notice here with this quirky handle here, this quirky shape here, I had to find a piece of wood that was wide enough to accommodate that quirky wideness of that, and and on the cake server had to be wide enough there too, so that'd be plenty wide enough to do that. So okay, now I just have to cut this wood, cut it in half, and fit it onto the handles, cut it, and then we'll have to sand it and polish it, and we'll see how it turns out. So stay tuned. Okay, one more thing I wanted to say before we get started is that my previous video that I made, the name plaque, I made it for my niece in Poland who's getting married this summer. That's why I made it for Jan and Maria to give to both her and her fiance. And today I'm making the knife and cake serving set, because she's a cake maker and she does it as a hobby, and she makes cakes, these fabulous cakes for her family and friends. And so I wanted to contribute something to her that would help her out in her hobby. So that's why I'm making this knife and cake serving set. And also that's why I'm wearing my Polska shirt today. So now that you know that, now we can just get started on the knife and cake serving set. Okay, I sanded each inside piece so it'll be really smooth in there, and now I'll need to fit these scales onto each piece and draw a line approximately where how the length of each piece is. The way I do that is the inside piece right here, I'll stick up here very tightly and hold that piece really tight like this to the scale, and then approximate right there. And from there I can draw a line right across from there. Okay, what I'll do with this, and I'll do the same thing with each one of these pieces, is that I will make a cut approximately right here, because I want to be able to creep up on this line so it will fit perfectly into this space right here. So what I'll do is I'll cut it right here, And I'll take this piece over to the sander and slowly sand away until this piece right here will fit perfectly into the allotted space. So I'm going to do that with this one here. And remember, this one here has that quirky curve to it. And I got a little rough edge right here, so don't want to use that. So I want to put this guy on here like so, and hold him really tight too, and draw it out like this, and make a little angle right here, and right there. Then I'll know the angle that I'll need to shave this down to. Then this piece right here will fit perfectly in there too. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. I have the sanding disc station all set up. Let me show you how I did this. First, I wanted to make sure that the table was perfectly flat to the sanding disc. Then I set my miter gauge here at 10 degrees. I outlined the pattern of the handle onto to the scale, and went over to the scroll saw and cut about a 10-degree angle here at the top of the scale. I have 400 grit sandpaper in here, and the reason why I'm using 400 grit is I just want to shave this off, shave the scale off, go back and forth until I can get a perfect fit into the scale, onto the handle. I want to get it so close and tight that this scale here will just snap in to this space here, and then I know that I'll have a perfect fit then. So I'm not going to bore you with the actual sanding part, but I'll show you how it ended up. After creeping up on the edges on the disc sander, I was able to get a really tight fit on both these handles here. And so now just have to proceed over to the epoxy and glue these scales on the handles, and then we can start shaping the handles. So good idea to use 40 grit paper and just inch up on the and check it after each pass until these scales just fit snug as a bug right in the grooves of the handles. So try that idea, you may like it. The epoxy I use to attach the scales to the handle is a BSI 30-minute cure. I prefer to use a 30-minute because I don't want to be in a hurry. If I do run into a problem, that'll give me plenty of time to be able to fix whatever the problem is. And instead of using a 5-minute epoxy, sure, it cures faster and you can proceed to the next step. But I just feel a bit rushed. And that's fine because 30 minutes would probably take a couple hours to completely cure and dry and harden to the point where I can start sanding. So that's why I'm going to use the 30-minute BSI slow cure. The epoxy cured for about 2 hours or so, and it's not sticky anymore. So I think I can go ahead and take the clamps off now and go over to the scroll saw, and I'll trim out the outline of the pieces. And then after I do that, I can start molding them by sanding them and try to get them in a good shape. So let's head on over to the scroll saw. Sanded the scales. Started at 120, 220, 320, then I went to 400, and I followed that with steel wool, and it's just a silky smooth finish now. And you see this koa wood, it's just, I mean, even if I didn't add a finish to this wood here, it just looks spectacular the way it is. And the thickness of it, I ended up being 3/4 of an inch. That included the wood and the handle. And those pins were just going to be too short. With the weight of these utensils, I really needed to have a good bulky thickness of the handle to make it feel right. And so if I made it any thinner, I think it would just do a disservice to the not only the utensil but this quality of wood here. So the more wood that you can put on these handles without making it look like too much is probably for the best. You know, all woodworkers have their favorite part of woodworking, and my favorite part of woodworking is right here at this stage, because you got your final product here, and all you need to do is add that oil to it, and you just watch the wood come alive. And so we're going to watch it together tonight, because I'm getting ready to add the oil to this koa wood, and we're going to see what it looks like when I do that. And so hang on. There we go. There we go. Right there. And I'm so glad that you use that walk up, creep up step with the sander, because these pieces just fit perfectly into the handle area, and there's no gap at all in the front or the back of either the cake server or the knife. And when you creep up on it like that, and so you can get it just a perfect fit, and that just makes a world of difference in the quality of the handle. So you can just see this right here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to add oil to the knife, of course, but then keep on adding a little bit of oil to it for the next few minutes, and then just let it soak in overnight. Then we'll come back tomorrow, and then I'll add the probably put a polyurethane on here just to be able to protect the wood from scratches and protect the wood from UV damage. The way I add the polyurethane is I have it elevated here off the surface so I can add it to all four sides. And at the same time. Okay, I'll put 3 or 4 coats of this on each handle and then let it dry. This polyurethane dries pretty quickly. It's a Deft water-based polyurethane, clear satin. And in the description I'll give you in the listing of all the materials I used to make these knife and cake serving set. So I'll do this 2 or 3 coats, come back, and we'll buff this with a paste wax just for added protection and give it a nice finish too. The paste wax I'm using is Howard's Citrus Shield, and I just put a liberal amount on the handle here, and I have my lathe set at about 1200 RPMs, and we'll just buff it for a minute or 2. Buffed it on the lathe for a couple minutes, and it really gave it a nice nice sheen to it. Even added the extra sheen to the polyurethane, and really makes it look like it almost has a 3-dimensional look in that wood grain there. It's really nice. If you don't have a lathe buff machine like this, you can always just use the paste wax and just rub it in really good, and probably about get the same effect. But the serving kit is now finished, and I'll show you the box it came in and show you the final result. But I'm really pleased with the way it, using this koa wood on this cake server, this looks extra nice.